العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My brothers, as was announced, this lecture, or this reminder if you wish, is entitled The Amazing Story. It's a real life story, and inshallah ta'ala, it is my hope that each and every one of us will benefit from this, and inshallah ta'ala it will remain in our memory for a very long time, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Without wasting time on so much or too many introductions, I begin the story. في يوم من الأيام نامت الأم الرؤوم. One night, the merciful, loving mother went to sleep. And when she went to sleep, she saw a terrifying dream. رأت في منامها أن امرأة تقول لها, she saw in her dream a woman that said to her, حين يتم عمر ابنك 18 سنة فإنه سيموت. When your son turns 18, he will die. فقامت الأم منفزعة ومنزعجة من هذه الرؤيا التي رأتها. So she woke up terrified from this dream, and this dream remained buried in her conscience, and she did not share it with anyone. حتى بلغ عمره 18 سنة, until the son became 18 years old. جاوز الثامنة وانتقل إلى 19, and then he crossed over from 18 and he became 19 years old. حينها تنفست الأم السعداء وأخذت تتحدث إلى بعض قريباتها أنها رأت كيت وكيت. When she knew that the time had passed, she started sharing the dream with the closest relatives, that 18 years ago she had seen such and such a dream, and that nothing had happened. وَلَمْ يَحْصُلْ لِابْنِهَا شَيْءٍ, and nothing had happened to her son. بينما هي كذلك, as events were unfolding, دعا الأب واسمه عمر ابنه عبد الله. Around this time, the father, his name was Umar, he called out his son, and the son's name was Abdullah. هذه القصة تتعلق بعبد الله بن عمر بن. This is the real life story of one person by the name Abdullah ibn Umar bin, of Yemeni origin, who lived in modern day Saudi Arabia. The family, a practicing family, a good family, and this young brother, he grew up just like any person from his age group. And when he reached that certain age, and he started spending so much time outside his home, and he was hanging around with bad company, and he started smoking. So his father, he got the news that his son is now smoking. So one day he calls his son, نادى ابنه عبد الله. He calls out his son, يا عبد الله هل تدخن؟ Oh Abdullah, do you smoke? قال لا. He said no. So his father said to him, Aqsim, take an oath, swear by Allah. قال أقسم بالله العظيم أني لا أدخن. He says, I swear by Almighty Allah that I do not smoke. وهو يعلم من نفسه أنه كاذبا في القسم. And inside his heart, he knows that he's not speaking the truth. قال له الأب. So his father said to him, كسر الله رقبتك إن كنت تدخن. The father said to the son, may Allah break your neck if it is true that you smoke. مرت هذه الدعوة كما تمر سائر الدعاوي التي يطلقها بعض الآباء على الأبناء. This curse, it passed just like many a times parents would curse their children. وخطأ يفعلون. And this is a grave mistake. فالنبي عليه الصلاة والسلام نهى أن يدعو الوالد على ولده. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he has forbidden that a parent should pronounce a curse upon their children. علها أن تصيب أو توافق ساعة إجابة. Because when a curse is made, it is a prayer. And sometimes this prayer, it coincides with the time that Allah, He answers prayers. And therefore it becomes answered. فيكون أول المتضررين بها الوالد لا الولد. And so when it happens, who pays the consequences? The father before the child. One of the mashayikh, he mentions a real life story of a young brother, a teenager. He wanted to take his father's car. But the father did not want to give him the keys to the car because he knows if this young person takes the car, he'll be up to no good. So he did not want to give the car. So the key to the father is the mother. So he goes and convinces his mother, and the mother comes and pleads with the father, just give him the keys. So he takes the car keys and he gives it to his son, and he says, خُذْ لَا رَدَّكَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْنَا. Take, may Allah never bring you back to us. So he takes the car, and the night passes, and it gets very late, and the parents are still awake, waiting for him to come back. Finally, there's a knock on the door, and they open the door. Who's standing outside? The police. Are you the parents of so-and-so? Yes. I'm afraid we have some bad news. He died in a car accident. So sometimes this curse, it becomes a prayer, and it is answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this father, he made this pronouncement, ارتفعت إلى جو السماء. It went to the heavens. وفتحت لها أبواب الإجابة أو عساها. And perhaps at the time the doors were open and it went through. لا الأب يعلم ولا الابن يعلم ولا الأم تعلم. Not the father knows, or the son, or even the mother. انتهى المشهد الذي برأ عبد الله نفسه. Incident was over, that the son said he doesn't smoke and the father made the curse. That night he went to sleep. لِيُوقِذَهُ وَالِدَهُ لِصَلَاةِ الْفَجْرِ. So his father woke him up for Salatul Fajr, just like he does. So the young man says, تَظَاهَرْتُ بِالْإِسْتِيقَاظِ. Just like so many young people would do, he says, I pretended that I was waking up. ثم لما انصرف الوالد إلى المسجد عدت لأنام. As soon as I made sure that he was outside the door, he was on his way to the masjid, I just went back to sleep. واستيقظت بعدها للحاق بالمدرسة. He says, I woke up when it was time to go to school. كان قد زور هو ورفاقه أن يهرب من المدرسة. Abdullah, however, he did not go to school. What Abdullah would do, he and his friends would go hanging out different parts of the city, and he would not go to school. ولما كان الصباح, that morning he did exactly what he does. He left with his friends and they decided to go swimming. So they went to a pool from the major pools in the city. And Abdullah says, يقول ارتقيت قريبا من 3 أمتار. He says, I went up on the diving board about 3 meters. ثم قفزت إلى المسبح. And then I took a dive inside the pool لأجد كل الثقل وكل ذلك الجسم ينهال على رقبتي وأنا تحت الماء. He says, as soon as I entered the water, I felt the weight of my whole body on my neck, putting pressure on my neck. يقول, he says, سمعت فرقعة فقرات رقبتي تحت الماء. And I could hear the sound of breaking bones inside the water. فتذكرت حينها دعوة والدي. He says, at this moment of time, I remembered my father's dua, the curse that he made. Allah, Allah. Abdullah ba ni'mah مع موعد مع القدر. His life is about to change forever. Underneath the water, the whole body piling pressure on the neck. كسرت 3 فقرات منها. And he broke 3 of the bones of his vertebra. يقول عبد الله, he says, Abdullah, فبقيت متماسكا أكتم أنفاسي قريبا من 5 دقائق. In the water, he says, I was trying to hold my breath for at least 5 minutes. هذه 5 دقائق. In these 5 minutes, he says, my whole life اختصرت لي عمري كلها. My whole life was playing in my mind just like a movie. 19 سنة مرت علي كشريط سريع. It started playing out. All his 19 years. استعرضت فيها كل شيء. He says, everything came to my memory. يقول خفت من الموت. He says, at this moment of time, I feared death. لأنني لم أقدم شيئا. Because I had not done anything good. كنت مفرطا. He says, I was unrestrained. كاذبا في القسم. I took an oath by Allah's name, yet I was lying, he said. مدخنا, smoker. لكن مع هذه الأحداث المتلاحقة, with all the events that were playing in my mind, يقول, he says, تراءى لي من بين ثنايا ذلك الشريط. With all the events playing in my mind, I saw امرأة عجوز كنت أتقصدها بالصدقة. He says, amongst the things that I saw playing out from my life, I saw this old woman that I used to give sadaqah. وهي ترفع يديها بالدعاء لي. And this old woman, she would raise up her hands and make dua for me. قال وتذكرت فيما تذكرت. And amongst the things that I remembered, he said, أن نبينا صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من كان آخر كلامه من الدنيا لا إله إلا الله دخل الجنة. That the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, whoever's final words in this life is لا إله إلا الله, he will enter Jannah. So he says, I started whispering inside the water, وتمتم بشفتي تحت الماء لا إله إلا الله. 5 دقائق. 5 minutes went by. None of his friends realizes that he is in danger. إنه يحاول أن يمسك بالشيء بأي شيء. He's trying to hold on to anything, but there's nothing to hold on to. لم يجد شيء. يقول أحد زملائه, one of his friends, he says, ذهبت ودخلت سجارة كاملة ثم عدت وعبد الله تحت الماء. He says, I went out the pool, I smoked 1 cigarette, came back, and Abdullah was still inside the pool. At this moment of time, they realized that he was in danger. So they dived in the water and they took him out. And when they took him out, كان أشبه بالجثة الهامدة, just like a lifeless body. And he was taken to hospital. That tall brother with a huge build, and he used to practice sports. He was athletic. He had so many dreams in his life. He became confined to a hospital bed, and the doctors started working on him, surgery after surgery. Abdullah finds himself in hospital, and 1 year goes by, and the second year, and still Abdullah is in hospital. After 4 years in hospital, they took him back home because the doctors could not do anything. And finally the reality dawned upon him, أنه أصبح الشيء, that now this brother is completely paralyzed. This young brother لا يستطيع أن يحرك شيئا. He cannot move any part of his body. Abdullah, the one who used to go to the sports club, there was a sports club known as Nadi Al-Ittihad, and he would go and practice taekwondo and karate and other martial arts. أصبح الآن لا يستطيع أن يهش ذبابة تقع على جسده. Abdullah cannot even get rid of a fly if it lands on his body. لا يستطيع أن يقضي حاجته. Abdullah cannot even relieve himself. لا يستطيع أن ينفرد بعورته ليسترها. He cannot even be able to cover his awra so that nobody can see him. إنه لا يتحرك منه شيء إلا جفنه. Nothing moves except his eyes. إلا لسانه, his tongue, وقلبه فقط. That is all. وسائر الجسد أشبه بالجثة الهامدة. Completely motionless. لا يملك لنفسه نفعا ولا ضرا. He cannot benefit himself. He cannot harm himself. Abdullah found himself in a very difficult situation. But he never despaired of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just like one of the early Muslims, one of the Salaf, one of the early Muslims, one day he was walking and he passes in front of this little house and somebody is making dua inside the house. What is this person saying? He is saying, الحمد لله الذي عافاني مما ابتلى به كثيرا من الناس وفضلني على كثير ممن خلق تفضيلا. All praise and thanks are due to Allah, who delivered me from which He has afflicted many people and has preferred me above many of His creatures. But this man, the man who's making this dua, he is a'ma, blind. He has abras. He has he has leprosy. Ashallul qadamain. He has no feet, no arms. At the same time, he is making this dua. So this man decided to ask him. He says, a'ma, abras, wa mashlul. You have no limbs, no arms, no legs. You're blind. Why do you make this dua? أي شيء عافاك الله منه? How has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given you preference? قال ويحك. And so he says to this person, جعل لسانا ذاكرا. He gave me a tongue with which I can remember Allah. وقلبا شاكرا. And He gave me a heart that is appreciative of whatever Allah has given me. وبدنا عن البلية صابرا. And He gave me patience and endurance in the face of all the trials and tribulations that He gave me. With such stories, Abdullah, he would comfort himself. Abdullah, when he woke up, he did not find any of his friends. See, this is what happens when you hang around with bad people and something bad happens to you, you're all by yourself. So Abdullah, he finds himself all by himself. The friends that taught him how to smoke, the ones that would make him not go to school, the one that would make him disobey his parents, none of them was there with him. and Abdullah was left all by himself and his family, with a condition that would stay with him until the day when he dies and departs from this life. Abdullah, he had so many ambitions in life. As I said, Abdullah was young. He had so many ambitions in life. But then, he ended up only with 3 ambitions. Unfortunately, the first clip that I was going to play, so that you would see him speak and mention the 3 ambitions, was unfortunately not copied, but the other 2 clips are there. He made 3 wishes when he was asked, in this condition, what are your 3 wishes? Listen to his 3 wishes. The first one, الأولى أن يسجد لله سجدة ويمرغ جبهته في الأرض سجدة لا يقوم بعدها أبدا. He says, if only I could make one sajda and never be able to lift up my head, meaning, if only I could die making sujood. The second wish, يقول أتمنى أعود فأقلب ورقات المصحف بيدي. He says, I wish I could flip over, turn the pages of the Mus'haf. وَكَثِيرًا مَا سَأَلَ زُوَّارًا. And many times when people would come to visit him, he would ask them, كَيْفَ عَلَاقَتُكُمْ بِالْقُرْآنِ? How is your relationship with the Quran? أَنْتُمْ تَسْتَطِيعُونَ مَا لَا أَسْتَطِيعُ. He says to them, you people can do what I cannot do. أَشْتَهِي أن أقلب صفحات المصحف بيدي. He says, I wish I could hold the Mus'haf, the Quran, and be able to turn the pages with my hands. لا أستطيع حراكا, but I'm not able to move. غاية ما أستطيع أن أحرك طرفي ولساني. The only thing that I can move, my eyes and my tongue. والأمنية الثالثة. The third wish, يقول أتمنى أن أدخل يوم العيد أو غيره على والدتي فأعانقها وأضمها. He says, I wish on a day like Eid that I'm able to enter into my mother's room and I'm able to hug my mother just like everybody else does on Eid. What happened to all his ambitions? He wants to hug his mother. Why? Because his mother was very special, as we will see from that clip. Abdullah says, أوقظها في الليلة واحدة أكثر من 4 مرات. Sometimes I wake my mother more than 4 times in a night. أمه هي الأطراف التي يتحرك بها. His mother became his limbs, his arms, his feet. هي الجوارح التي تجلب له الطعام والشراب. She's the one who feeds him, gives him water to drink. بل أبعد من ذلك, even beyond that. Abdullah sometimes up to 10 days, food goes in and nothing comes out. He's not able to pass excretion. No feces come out. So what does his mother do? تستعين بالله على إخراج ما في بطنه. So his mother, she massages his stomach until when the feces come out, she cleans him and washes him with his own hands. I want us to watch, inshallah ta'ala, this clip in which Abdullah talks about the relationship with his mother. So inshallah, watch and pay attention.
هذه الليلة أن ننور الحياة بالتوبة والعواد.
تحبوني؟ كلكم التلفزيون تحبوني؟ وأنا والله أشهد الله إني أحب كل واحد فيكم.
That's not the clip, actually. The first one I told you.
قد يختلفون الناس بحبي بحبهم بي.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
جدا وجبات السيولة أمي طبعا تعتبر كونسيرية الحياة فعلا سبحان الله. الحمد لله. أنا ليس ولا ما بتكلم ما بقول شيء. لما أقول لكم عمل واحد بس. أنا أمي عندي نيابة أمي مو بأي وقت بعيدة ومناسبة أحبها. تجي العيد والمناسبة أمي فيها حسرة أكثر مني، لكن لو سألت قمت لها متى آخر مرة قمت أمك؟ أنتوا اللي أمامي واللي بتنتظر متى آخر مرة قمت أمك؟ أمي في داخلها حسرة تقول لي مرة جينا من الحرم تقول لي نفسي يوم من الأيام أدخل الحرم وأنت ما تدري والصوت. الحمد لله. لو قلت الآن خير بطل ما تمشي 5 أيام 5 أيام بطل ما تمشي إيش هنعمل؟ رد عليها ناخذ ملايين شربت ملايين ما هذا شيء ايش حتسوي؟ تروح على المستشفى. طب عشان يوم بطل ما مشيت ايش حتسوي؟ عملية مستشفى. طب عملية 16 سنة كل 10 يوم ما تمشي بطل كل 12 يوم كيف تسوي؟ كل 10 أيام أروح المستشفى. عندي أمي راحت العلاج تخرج لي بطني بيدها اللي بطني تخرج بيدها. من يسوي لك على أمك وأنت تفضل زوجتك على أمك ولا تفضل ولدك على أمك فضل صاحبك على أمك. الحمد لله. طيب بس وتكونوا غالبين هرمة بقت علي هرمة وكان عندي محاضرة قالت ما أكلم عبد الله رد عليها خالد صاحبي قال له يا أمي خالد عبد الله مشغول شوية. قال له أسألك بالله قل له يا ولدي إذا كان عبد الله انحرم من أبوه أمه أنا أبنائي عندي وانحرمت منهم من أمي ما فيهم ولا شيء ولا واحد فيهم يدخل أمي قاسي قلوبهم قاسي قلوب الناس. تقول الله والله الدم رجيع والجنة تتم يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وتتجرع أمك وأبوك وتبر صاحبك وصديقك. أيوة ما كتبوا هذا أبناء يكونوا أبنائهم. قال الشاعر أغرب امرؤ يوما ولا من جاهلا بنقوده كيما ينال به الضرر. فقال ائتني بفؤاد أمك يا فتى ولك الجواهر والدراهم والدرر. ناداه قلب الأم وهو منفر ولدي حبيبي هل أصابك من ضرر. فكأن هذا الصوت رغم حنوه غضب السماء على الفتى قد انهمر فاستل خنجره ليطعن قلبه طعنا سيبقى عبرة لمن اعتبر ناداه قلب الأم كف يد ولا تطعن فؤادي مرتين على الأرض كف يد ولا تطعن فؤادي مرتين على الأرض. يا أخي الإنسان اللي عنده علاقة مع أمه وأبوه سيئة من الآن أنا حج الواو عليه من الآن يعلن التوبة بينه وبين الله ثم إذا قام من رسالة أو من أمام التلفزيون يروح يسلم على يدين ورجل أمه وتوبوا إلى الله. ما أعرف
يا شيخ معلش.
Even when Abdullah was asked about his relationship with his father, the one who made the curse, the dua, and consequently he became paralyzed, Abdullah said, لا أسمح لأحد كائنا من كان أن يذكر والدي بسوء. He said, I do not permit anyone to speak ill about my father. Yes, he made a curse, but I deserved it. Brothers, do you realize that so many young brothers, they make the lives of their mothers hell on this earth. They make the lives of their parents miserable. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likewise will make their lives hell on this earth. The same way you treat your parents, by Allah, if you ever have children of your own, they will treat you exactly the same. And if Allah does not give you children, and you do not make tawbah, do not repent to Allah, then Allah will make you pay the price. Wallahi, there are so many stories that breaks the heart. There's a news clip on YouTube, and this happened in Norway, I believe, or Denmark, one of those Scandinavian countries. A young Somali youth, he stabbed his mother to death. He killed his mother. And wallahi, you know, there was one time I went to the city that is known for the number of youth who get killed because of drugs in Canada. You can imagine the pain of a mother who has to bury her own child in her lifetime. There's a brother who has a travel agency in the city of Ottawa, and he shared this story with me. He told me one day this mother came to me with some money, and she said, Abdul Nasser, I just want a one-way ticket out of this country. What's wrong? What happened? So she told her story. She said, I used to live in Saudi Arabia with my husband. He had a good job and he was earning a good amount of money. And we lived a good life. But then she says, my friends, they influenced me and they said, come to Canada. You'll get a car to drive of your own. You'll be given money. You live a life of fantasy. So this woman, she started, convincing the husband, let us go and live in Canada. The husband said, no, let us live here. We don't need to go there. We have everything we need here. She said, finally, he allowed her to go. She had 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. And they were just about teenagers then. So they went to Canada. They went to that city of Ottawa. After some time, the boys decided to move to another city known as Edmonton. They told their mother they're going to work. Within 6 months, 2 of them, they got killed. They were dealing in drugs. The third one, he committed murder, he killed someone, and he was locked up for life. As for the girl, she became a prostitute. So the mother, she came to Abdulghaniy, she said, one-way ticket, I just need to get out of here. I came with 4 children, today I am leaving with none. Wallahi, I remember, my brothers, in Minneapolis, on one of the nights of Ramadan, and this father is saying to me, please make dua for me. All of my children, he said, I had 7 children. All of my children have gone away astray. I do not have even a single of my children with me. Make dua for me, he says. Wallahi, children make lives of their parents miserable. But Allah will make them pay the price in this life. Now we continue with the story of Abdullah. Abdullah is an inspirational person. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tests you. Not because He hates you, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants to raise your status. And there's a hadith in which the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepares a very high status for someone. And Allah knows there's no way he can reach this status. If he is left on his own, he will never get there. So how does he get there? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tests him. He brings a calamity to this person so that he can reach that status. Abdullah, his life transformed. When he was all by himself, only the good people would come and visit him. And when they saw Abdullah's situation, those young brothers who used to smoke and take drugs, they made tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those ones who never used to pray salah, they started praying salah. Those ones who had no time for the Quran, they started forming a habit of reciting the Quran. Before a time comes when they're not able to open a single page from the Quran. Abdullah became a da'iyah. Can you imagine? Abdullah would travel from one city to another for the sake of da'wah. He travels to Jeddah. He travels to Qasim. He travels to Kuwait. He travels to Qatar. Sometimes he travels as far as Egypt. Imagine a man who is paralyzed, not able to move, but is still doing da'wah and inviting people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As a matter of fact, one of his friends, he says, sometimes Abdullah ba-ni'mah is sick and his temperature, he has fever, and we try to convince him to cancel the lecture, cancel the engagement, but he refuses. Today, wallahi, this evening, it was raining, and we got caught up in traffic from South Sea. And I almost changed my mind not to come. But then I remember this brother. I said, look at Abdullah ba-ni'mah. He travels the world over, yet the man is paralyzed just to invite people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I just want to play one of the clips that he gives da'wah and reminds people of the bounties and favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
سؤال وللجميع. أنا ضيفكم اليوم صح؟ وضيف أخواني في التلفزيون في جميع العالم.
هذه الليلة أن ننور الحياة بالتوبة ورجوع الله عز وجل.
تحبوني؟
حب.
كلكم اللي بالتلفزيون تحبوني؟
نعم.
وأنا والله أشهد الله إني أحب كل واحد فيكم.
حبك الله.
فبس قد يختلفون الناس في حبهم لي. بس أسألكم سؤال، تحبون الله؟
نعم.
الجميع يحب الله صح؟ ما بيختلف. أسألكم بالله اللي يحب الله أمامي لازم يسمع كلامي إنه يرفع محبة أمر الله.
حتى اللي تابع؟
حتى اللي تابعوا واللي موجودين معانا واللي وراء الشاشة. أسألكم بالله ترفع يدك.
He's saying, raise up your hand if you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even those who's watching the clip are saying, raise up your hand if you love Allah.
الله نظر إليكم الآن ورأى محبته في قلوبكم قبل أيديكم ما تقول. سمعتم شيء؟ هل لاحظتم شيء يا شيخ؟ كاميرا عليا؟ كلكم رفعتوا صح؟ أنا رفعت؟ أنا اللي سألتكم هل تحبوا الله؟ قلتوا أيوه. أنا ما رفعت. أنا ما أحبه. طب من اللي منعني؟ من اللي منعني أستغفر بالله؟ منعني اللي سمح لك. تدروا ليش؟ لأني كنت أربعة معصية وسترني سنة وسنتين و20 سنة. أي معصية، أي معصية، أغاني، أفلام، مسلسلات، أي شيء. سباق أول واحد سريع إلى معصية الله، بطيء إلى طاعته. والآن أنت ما زلت تعصي الله وسمح لك أنك تفعل محبة، لكن أنا فصلها عندي من 21 سنة تنفطر حتى يمنعك. ما زلت تعصي الله، ما زلت تمسك الدخان والمخدرات، ما زلت تسوي العادة السرية، وما زلت ترمصي حواجبك، توجبي على نفسك رحمة الله، وما زلت وسمح لكم الآن أنكم ترفعوها محبة لله. بس أنا منعني نفسي أغسل عورتي، لي 21 سنة أغسل عورتي. عمرك ما دخلت الحمام وناديت أحد يجي يغسل عورتك أو أنتي؟ أنا إلى الآن 21 سنة يغسل عورتي وأحتاج أي أحد عندي، أي أحد عندي يحتاج يغسل عورتي. إذا وسخت جاني أنا الآن جيت هنا بدون أمي وبدون زوجتي، ولو مشيت بطني اللي معايا همشوني وهمطوني، ولا أضطر أنتظر إلى أن أرجع جدة أو بيتي في المدينة تقطع قلوبكم وأحسن ما تقطع أجسادكم في النار يوم القيامة. أيضا عشان أحسن ما تقطع قلوبكم وأبدتكم في النار يوم القيامة. أشكر نعم الله عليكم في الأرض، عشان لا تعذبوا تحت الأرض يوم القيامة. أسأل الله أن يحرمكم على الناس. وهذه اليد اللي رفعتها محبة بالله هتشهد لك يوم القيامة أنك تحب الله. أشهد، خلي اليد هذه تشهد لك كمان أنك أي معصية بينك وبين الله تتركها. يوم يخطب على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد رجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. خلي هذه اليد تشهد لك محبة بالله انك تركت الاغاني والافلام والمسلسلات، تركت العادة السرية، تركت التنميط، وتركت التقليد بالمواقع الاباحية، ترقيم البنات وايذاء البنات وايذاء الشباب، ندخل على غرف شاكات عرض عساد بنات لا اله الا الله من ابناء لا اله الا الله. اذكروا الله يا اخوان، اشكروا نعم الله. اقسم بالله قال الله وان تتولوا ويستبدل قوما غيركم ثم لا يكونوا امثالكم. ما انا الا واعظا لكم بلسان الحال المقال. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك، اشهد ان لا اله الا انت، استغفرك واتوب اليك.
So you could see Abdullah is an extraordinary person. And if this calamity, this accident did not happen, how many people would know Abdullah wa ni'ma? No one would know him. هل أتى على عبد الله بنعمة حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. He was nothing, nobody knew about him. But because of what happened to him, now Abdullah became famous. Remember the first clip that you saw? When Abdullah, he was talking about the special relationship with his mother and what his mother does for him. And people were watching on Qanat Bidayah all over the Arab world. And in Saudi Arabia, there was a young sister, she was watching with her parents, and when she heard the story of Abdullah and how much his mother is suffering for his sake, at the end of the show she said to her mother and her father, she says, I want to get married to Abdullah Bani. Maybe this was because of emotions. Females are very emotional. So maybe she did this because she became very emotional. And her parents thought this will die away with time. But she kept on insisting that she wants to get married to Abdullah. She convinced her mother, then convinced the father. Then they decided to go and pay a visit to Abdullah bin Ni'ma's family, to go and see him. And the Arabs, they say, لَيْسَ مَنْ رَأَى كَمَنْ سَمِعَ. Hearing and seeing is not the same thing. So they go to Abdullah bin Ni'ma's house and they see him for real in life. This man is completely paralyzed. He cannot benefit himself, let alone benefit anyone. And in case you thought this sister was also disabled or something was wrong with her, no, wallahi. She was very beautiful, she was young, from a respected family, from the tribe of Ghamida. You know, this tribe that produced Sahaba and great people and Mujahideen and some of the best people in this ummah and scholars. Even when the story of a woman from this tribe is told in the hadith Al-Ghamidiyya, that a woman committed something wrong, how did it end up? The woman ended up in Jannah. So this young sister, she saw Abdullah, and Abdullah told her, you know, Ummi, thumma ummi, thumma ummi. لن تكوني إلا في المرتبة الرابعة أو الخامسة. You will only take the fourth or the fifth position. Will she change her mind? No. The family even loved him more, and they decided they have to marry this girl to him. One of the cousins, when he tried to place obstacles. He said, I will pay 1 million riyal, Saudi riyal, give the girl to me, do not let her marry this man. 1 million riyal is close to $300,000. But the family would not take that. Obstacle number one. Second obstacle, listen to this. Would you believe this? Abdullah bin Ni'ma is Yemeni. The girl is Saudi. Saudi law does not permit a non-Saudi to marry a Saudi without special permission. Would you believe this? This happens in a Muslim country. A non-Saudi cannot marry a Saudi unless you get special permission from the government. So one of the imams of the Haram, he made shafa'ah, he made intercession with the government, and permission was given for Abdullah bin Ni'ma to marry this girl. And this girl said to Abdullah, you know, even though she could see Abdullah was in that state, she said, Abdullah, my only wish is to hold your hand and fly with you in Jannah. So the final clip which will end the story, inshallah ta'ala, is the wedding of Abdullah bin Ni'ma. So if you can play that final clip. And this was, just before you start playing it, this was no ordinary wedding. You know, this wedding was attended by ulama, du'at, qudat, you know, you name it. And people came from as far as Bahrain and Qatar and Egypt in order to attend Abdullah. Did you pause it? Just pause it. If a person wants to have a guest, you know, guests like the ones who attended Abdullah bin Ni'ma's wedding, you have the millionaires. They want a wedding that is attended by stars. How much money do they have to spend? Abdullah, he had a wedding that even the biggest scholars of that country, they attended. So just play it.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين ولي الصالحين ولا عدوان الا على الظالمين. اصلي واسلم على اشرف الانبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى اله واصحابه اجمعين. مشاهدينا الكرام في كل مكان اينما كنتم واينما يصلكم في اثير قناه البدايه، نرحب بكم اجمل ترحيب، ولا ننسى ان نرحب بالضيوف الكرام من مشايخ ودعاة ورجال أعمال وشعراء ومنشدين والجميع بلا استثناء. أرحب بكم في هذه الليلة المباركة، في هذا الوجود المميز والذي تميز بوجودكم، تميز بحضوركم في هذه الليلة المباركة، ليلة من أجمل الليالي، ليلة لا تقدر بثمن، ليلة مميزة جدا. لماذا مميزة؟ لأنها فقط زواج الداعية عبد الله بن نعمة. قولوا آمين، قولوا آمين، قولوا آمين. اللهم بارك لهما وبارك عليهما واجمع فيما بينهما بخير. طبعا فرصة طيبة أن نلتقي فيكم، ولعل خير بداية من قناة بداية آيات من ذكر الله الحكيم نشنت بها الآذان مع القارئ عبد الولي الأركاني.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. فسبحان الله حين تمسون وحين تصبحون، وله الحمد في السماوات والأرض وعشيا وحين تظهرون، يخرج الحي من الميت ويخرج الميت من الحي ويحيي الأرض بعد موتها وكذلك تخرجون. ومن آياته أن خلقكم من تراب ثم إذا أنتم بشر تنتشرون. ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة، إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. ومن آياته خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف ألسنتكم وألوانكم، إن في ذلك لآيات للعالمين. ومن آياته منامكم بالليل والنهار وابتغاؤكم من فضله، إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يسمعون. ومن آياته يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا وينزل من السماء ماء فيحيي به الأرض بعد موتها، إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يعقلون. ومن آياته أن تقوم السماء والأرض بأمره، ثم إذا دعاكم دعوة من الأرض إذا أنتم تخرجون. وله من في السماوات والأرض
find this story? Did you like it? Did you like the story of Abdullah bin Ni'mah? So inshallah, how about sharing the benefits? What did you benefit from this story? I want someone to raise up his hand and come here and say, inshallah, this is what I benefited from this story. Aywa Jama'at al-Khair. Even the young ones, you can come here and say what you benefited from this story. So you didn't benefit from this story? Come forward, brother.
To love my mother.
Do you agree with him? Do you guys love your mothers? Raise up your hands if you love your mothers. MashaAllah, Jazakumullahu khairan. You need to love your mothers. You need to show them kindness and mercy. And sometimes you need to kiss them, okay? And hug your mothers. What else did you benefit from this story of Abdullah bin Ni'mah? The brother, he came forward, he said, to love your mother. What else did you benefit? Aywa ya shabab. Was that all? Naam akhi, come forward.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To have a good friends.
MashaAllah. He said something very important. To have good friends who remind you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is very important. Remember, Abdullah, he started smoking because of keeping bad company. And when his father heard that he was smoking, and Abdullah denied, and his father made a curse. كَسَرَ اللَّهُ رَقَبَتَكَ إِن كُنْتَ تُدَخِّنُ. May Allah break your neck if it is true. Today, people don't only smoke cigarettes, they smoke weed. They smoke hashish. I don't know about here, but in South Sea is an epidemic. There is this particular hashish that comes all the way from Ethiopia. They call it shash. So many young brothers and sisters, wallahi, they smoke hashish. Even girls. Imagine one day what happened is, listen to this. This rider, the border rider, he stopped and he had a bag and he opened the bag. And this brother, he saw the bag was filled with benylin cough syrup. You know benylin cough syrup? So this brother asked, why are you taking all this medicine? He said, what is it for? He said, this is for Somali girls. What do they use it for? Don't you know? This contains a drug known as codeine. And they mix it with drinks and they drink it. In South Sea on Sunday night, Monday morning, there's boxes of codeines all over the place. It's an epidemic. And people are taking drugs like as if drugs is nothing. Why? Because Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, Al-mar'u ala dini khalilihi, aw kama qala sallallahu alayhi. A person is on the religion of his friends. And the Arabs, they say, as-sahibu sahib. The friend, he will not leave you behind, he will drag you. If he comes to the masjid, he will bring you to the masjid. If he goes to the nightclub, he will take you to the nightclub. Especially now, when schools are closed, so many people are free. You find our youth, they're filled up in the nightclubs, and parents have no idea. So that was a very good point of my brother. Company with good people. Final one, inshallah. Na'am.
Repent to Allah before death catch up with you.
Very important, my brothers. Repentance, tawbah. To make tawbah before it is too late. Wallahi, some young brothers, they get deceived. They think I'm too young. Wallahi, listen to this. Today, as I was walking from the shopping center in South Sea, and I'm going back home, and I passed in front of Nairobi South Hospital. So many people know it. It has a nickname, they call it Dr. Hassan's Hospital. They call it Dr. Hassan's Hospital. Wallahi, one day, just a couple of years back, a young brother, he was on a motorcycle, boda, and he was coming towards the direction of the shopping center, and there was an accident. The car hit the boda, and the brother, he was, severely injured, and taken straight to Nairobi South Hospital, to the ICU, spent a few days, taken to Nairobi Hospital, because people think hospital can save your life. But you know what, my brothers? He died. He was only 19, 20 years old. And the last time when I was in Canada in 2012, it was Yom al-Eid, on the day of Eid al-Fitr. And you know what happens on Eid? People go out partying and drinking and doing all kinds of things. So this group of 5 youngsters, they went on that night, on that Sunday night, to party. And they were partying all night until it is almost time for Fajr. And as they're coming back home, it was a rainy night. They got into an accident. And one of those young brothers, he got killed on the spot. Wallahi, I was there for his janazah. And I saw them when they lowered his casket, his coffin into the ground. He was only about 19 years old, 20 years old. And guess what? He was the only boy child in his family. The only male child. وَمَلَكُ الْمَوْتِ لَا يُبَالِي. The angel of death, he does not care that you're the only male child of your parent. He doesn't care. When Allah says, go get him, he will come for you. So when this young brother was being lowered into the grave, I said to myself, did he know that he was going to enter his grave this young? You know how many years it has been? 7 years this young brother has been inside his grave. يا ليت شعري ماذا قيل له وبماذا أجاب. What was said to him? How did he answer the questions of the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How many brothers, ya ikhwat al-iman, they die وهم قد شربوا الخمر. And others, they die in a state of janaba, having committed zina, and they did not make tawbah. They died before they could make tawbah. A'udhu billah. So it is very important to make tawbah and never despair from the mercy of Allah. Whatever sin that you do, quickly go back to Allah, make tawbah. Never ever despair from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أسأل الله تعالى أن يجعلني وإياكم ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين.